Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I went through something here a couple of years ago, actually about 10 years ago. I met a young lady online, which is not too out of the ordinary these days. And the the upside was she was a wonderful lady. The downside was she was in the Philippines and I was in the United States. So, long story short, I made a couple of trips to the Philippines and ended up filing for her uh, citizenship here. Not her citizenship, but her K-1 visa, it's called. And I'd like to share just a little bit of that with you. I chose to do it myself, and it's totally possible. There are certain things that I was able to do 90% of here, and then I used DHL to ship it to the Philippines, and all of the paperwork, and she was able to finish it up there. And then once we had an appointment at the embassy, the United States Embassy in Manila, I went back over there for a third trip, and we went through that process. And I'm going to elaborate a little bit on that. I've never been into a embassy of ours, the United States, in any country. Okay, and so we were staying at a place kind of kitty corner across the street and kitty corner to the United States Embassy. We could see it from our window. And it was a good sized building, but it's really interesting. I think they opened at 9, for example. And by 7 o'clock, there's a line of people to get in. And these are all people that are, in the process of or filling out applications or anything like that. But you really have to have an appointment before you get in line. And so I hope I can keep this in some sort of understandable sequence. So we get in line, you have your papers, you present them to the guard, armed guard, and then you proceed to the interior of the building. And the doors are about 1,000 pounds each because they're bulletproof glass, which kind of was a little intimidating. And then once you go inside, you're directed to where you need to go, etc. And so there's a little bit of waiting. It wasn't actually too bad. But, you have an interview with one person, and then you have an interview with another person, and you present your papers to another person. But what was really interesting was you had to come equipped with not only all the papers that had to be filled out and fees to be paid, but you had to have a fair amount of pictures that represented you being together at certain places, okay? And so, the only way to really do it is to just go eat, take a picture, go to a park, take a picture, do this, take a picture, and have them develop, So we walked in with a stack of about 2 or 3 inches worth of pictures, and the lady behind the bulletproof window, you slide them in, and she sits there and she shuffles them, like a card. She probably never even looked at them. And I found it all rather interesting, and it was rather amusing. The intimidation level was a 2 or 3 on a scale of 10, only because, it's high security. And then, within an hour, I think we were in and out. And then you're notified, I believe it is by mail. I can't remember that one exactly, but it was an experience from the very beginning of filling out all the papers for the K-1 process, and which is basically a fiance visa. And like I said, I did about 90% of it myself, and it's a process, and it was, a fair amount of work, but I did it, and very glad I did. I'm happy with the outcome. If you've ever had an experience like this, I'd love to hear you share it with me. And that's going to be a wrap for today. Please subscribe. Please give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Have a good day. Take care.